There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special evening. It is the 2025 Invitational here at GRDC, and we have got a brilliant series of races ahead of us. My name is Ben Sapsford, and tonight will be your guide through our exhilarating 3-round championship that we have ahead of us. To those of you asking, what is the Invitational? I'm very glad you asked, because this is our special invite-only racing championship that aims to pit the best of our drivers here in the community in equal machinery against one another with no holds barred top-tier racing. That's what we want to see out here tonight, and that's what we are going to see, because we have got quite the roster of drivers out here, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone on that track. Some familiar faces you may know and love, whether that's from the World Sprint Championship or the LMGT3 Challenge, hosted by, of course, Joseph and Max over on the Mondays. I hope that we'll see some familiar faces and some great drivers out there today. Now, we have got practice underway, but let's talk about how we are doing this championship. So, 3 rounds, as established. Everyone is in the same car, and in terms of revealing the track and car combo, that has been revealed to the drivers about a week in advance, and then the next round will be revealed at the end of this very stream. So you want to be sticking around to the end, especially for a driver who is invited and participating, because you'll want to know when you can, as soon as you can, get onto the next combo, start practicing for the next round. We will jump on board with some of our drivers as we are in practice right here. And let's see what they have to cook in store. Of course, we are here at Imola, and the car of choice of the first round is the Porsche 911 GT3 RSR. I believe this is the... I don't think this is the 992 spec. I think this is the 991 spec. I'll have to double confirm and check on that to see. Yeah, I believe this is the 991 spec 911 here. So as you can see, everyone's going to be in the same machinery, equal machinery here, including fixed setups, and that is going to be a big differentiator. The only thing that drivers can change is brake pressure, brake bias, and traction control. Everything else, purely the same. So this is as close to an apples-to-apples comparison you can get to see who is truly the best driver out here. We will have some great showings, I think. We'll take a quick round through some of the key drivers to watch out for. Of course, it is early days, and we do have yet unproven racers here as well. But we have Schlichting, commonly known for being one of the top drivers in the Ferraris in WSC. Going to be in 5th currently here in practice. We've got Hendrik de Vries, who was in the Cadillac. But looks like they are taking to the Porsche and the GT3s really strongly here. Currently leading in practice, but it is, of course, a bit of a question mark when it comes to practice. You can never fully take the practice data and the practice values as a pure indicator of performance. You can never 100% take it at face value. It's something to be mindful of. They are, of course, a good yardstick to see who is running on good pace and feeling confident heading into qualifying and the race, but you will still have to be mindful that not everyone is going to be giving it 100% right away. 29 drivers joining us on the course, most of them currently in the pits. And for those who are playing the game, what do you think of the update thus far? Seems to be a lot of buzz surrounding the update, and certainly an update that I've been very keen on, purely for the custom liveries alone, to be perfectly honest with you. Although it's not fully rolled out yet, it is still something that is very, very important, I think. In terms of long-term health of the game, it is something that's extremely important. We cycle through a few different cars here. as the final minutes of practice tick away. In terms of qualifying, it is hyperpole style, so if you've been watching the LMGT3 Challenge, which, again, you can catch on the Mondays here at GRDC TV, and I strongly recommend you do so, you will know how this works. Everyone basically gets one shot, and they have that one shot to make the absolute most of it. There is no do-overs, no retakes, no nothing. You have to be on your A game. You want a good start in the race. So we'll see who handles the pressure, who is able to keep up with it, and who will be coming out on top here. 2.5 minutes, or say just under 3 minutes to go. There will also be, like the LMGT3 Challenge, a success ballast system. So first place will get 40 kilograms added to their car, and down in 8 kilo increments, down to 5th place, will get +8. 6th and below, no ballast. And that caps out, I believe, at 40 as well. So unless you are getting 2 out of the 3 rounds in first place, at which point, unless you make a major mistake, that's pretty much championship sealed. You will have a glass ceiling that you hit in terms of ballast before things start to balance out. And it is a way just to keep things interesting. It is, of course, a way that other drivers may have a chance to fight. And it helps rein in those who may otherwise be completely off in another league. They're just on board with a couple of drivers here. So puts in the Iron Dames 85. Just peeling off alongside the Michelin Man. A lot of different paints, and I've never actually seen this car out on track in full form. In a lot of games, actually. It's a very rare you see a Porsche on the circuit, and a lot of times many tend to go for the likes of Ferraris, McLarens, etc. And I'm not just talking about LMU, I'm talking about in general. Porsches tend to be a bit of a backseater. And you do get special events around the Porsche, I think, to the likes of Porsche Super Cups and special events of that nature. It is good to see it get some track time. Okay, so minor correction on a comment from earlier. Apparently it can add up to 255 kilos if needed, so best not be getting... I think theoretically the max that you'll be able to get in the championship, well, given the 40 kilo plus 5 for every successive round, I think the max would be 50, the actual possible max, but good to know that you can potentially add up to 1/4 of a ton of weight. I'm sure the drivers will be keeping that in mind if they head into, for example, WSC Season 2 or, say, LMGT3, as we said. Here we are, final seconds of practice before we head into Hyperpole. I mean, this is a special championship. This is the invite-only sessions that are happening in between now and, say, other events on the calendar. So, LMGT3 on the Mondays, the Invitational for a few rounds on the Wednesdays, and then we'll see what happens. And like with many here at GRDC, there will be trophies going out to winners, to the runners-up, 3rd place trophy for the driver of the championship, of course. And that is fully powered by the people who support us on the likes of Patreon. So all that support is very much appreciated. And with that, we are now heading into Hyperpole. So the field has got the pressure mounting already. There will be a lot to look out for. I mean, right out the gate, Hendrik de Vries was the fastest in practice, and then you saw a lot of variations in times. Your slowest was about 5 seconds back, that's Borgerson. But there will be a mad dash for everyone to try and get onto the track and get things going as fast as possible. So I've pulled the gun. Of course, we will be seeing only that singular car on track when we instance them at that time. We'll pick a car to stay on board with, and then we will show the timing page as the times roll in towards the end of the session. You can see there will be a bit of sort of snapping back and forth. Installations. Installation laps well underway. And say with only 5 minutes, you need to get it under the belt and you need to do it fast. Got to be fast here. So let's see how the drivers do. So that's going to be Aqua Minerale here, into Variante Alto. So who do we want to stick on board with? That is the question here. We've got a lot of different drivers. Fresh and unfamiliar, to me anyway. Unfortunately, I don't get to broadcast the LMGT3 challenge, so there may be a couple of different faces that I don't usually see. So, here we go. I think we're going to jump on board with Lettonen here, as a well-established driver and well at home in the GT3 category. I think it's only fair that we jump on board with them. Richard Cook just starting a lap before here, but let's stick on board with right now, as things are about to get hot. So, into Tamburello. Nice and cleanly executed there. Unfortunately, my onboard camera doesn't seem to be working. I'm not sure if there's an issue with the game or the client here, but still sticking it through is a Villeneuve now. That's a clean run. They just got to be careful of the grass. A little bit too much extension on either side and you will be out in the weeds. Going through Tosa quite nicely. Now heading up the hill into the second sector, heading into Piratella. Easy to crest over and take a bit too much speed here, as you have got a lot of momentum as you cross over that hill. So let's see what he's got. Unfortunately, like I said, onboard's not quite working here. In fact, data output seems to be a little bit bugged here at the moment, so apologies for that. We're going to try and get it resolved in the background. The live data doesn't seem to be coming through as smoothly as it otherwise should. Maybe a couple of hiccups with the update being introduced, but very nice through Variante Alto. Now, Ravazza, final couple of corners. It's a double left-hander. Nice and smooth exit, taking as much of the curb as possible, really extending that line as much as you can. But now up to the line here, so Lettonen completing the lap. Let's get that timing page on the board as he's crossing the line. Now it's going to be a 42.207. Let's get that timing board here as we hear the racers now coming through. Say 42.2 to beat Poor with a 43.1. 43.4 coming from Niesbet. Cook with a 43.867. 44.1 coming from Richard Cook. And a 42.5 from Mika Patush. As now we have more and more drivers making their way. 53.2 from Dan Wilson. So a lap to forget for them here. And many more to come. Just going to quickly adjust that here. There we are. So we don't have the cursor as distracting here. So we will see at the top. Lettonen leads 42.2. Is anyone going to be able to challenge that? Pavel Steiner 42.113. Looking very rapid indeed. Maybe a car to watch there, as they had that Sector 2 and Sector 3. Well, Sector 3 not so much, but Sector 2 certainly looked to be dominant and under their grasp. Let's see, as the rest of the times are now peeling their way through. We got 45s, 46s, we've got a 50 coming in from Stijink. And last couple of chances for many. A lot of drivers who are still in the pits by this point, so maybe had a false flag run and wasn't able to fully complete the lap here. See if there's anyone else now making their way through, as there is still a little bit of time for any late starters who had not got their laps fully completed at this point. So you can hear some more of the cars now coming through. It's going to be Lettonen actually getting a second bite of the cherry just in time before the timing board comes down. It's a .104 here, and a seriously impressive showing. That's why I think he's proven to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to the GT3s. Very nicely done indeed. Qualifying is at a close already, and that's Hyperpole, folks. That's how she goes. Hyperpole is a different beast entirely. Let's quickly jump back in with the last couple of drivers who are finishing their runs as we speak. And we do have a couple of last-minute jumps up the order. Here's Ben Watkinson, 28th currently. See if we can get some grip down, get some time down here. But very much impressed by many of the drivers here. So we've also got Iro, who is coming through and pulling to a stop here. So Watkinson up to the line. It's going to be looking like a 46. It's a 46.360, and that is the last time on the board. So we will go through, of course, your full starting order, but that is the quali done. That was a quick fire if I've ever heard anything. 8 milliseconds between Lettonen and Pavel Steiner. That's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on here as we go through into the race tonight. Marvin and Mika Patush is going to be 3rd and 4th, and then you can see the rest of the top 10 right here. But let's take a formal look at our starting order, ladies and gentlemen, because we've got a lot to look forward to. So as the game briefly calibrates itself on everyone in the pits, here we go. Let's take a full walk through. Starting order now. So, first things first, Lettonen and Stenner in the 77 and 56, respectively. Brilliant runs first row. Button and Patush are going to be clearing up row 2, and looking very sharp as they do so. Row 3 is going to be for Bouquet and Hendrik de Vries. And they have got certainly a bit of racing to settle between them. Moffat and Cook are going to be completing row 4 in P7 and P8. And then to round out the top 10, row 5, it's Port and Starkey. So that is going to be a heck of a battle. Neesbet and Wallace is going to be in 11th and 12th here. So rounding out row 6, with 13th and 14th going to James Quinn and Anthony Hyde. The 85 and the 16, row 7. Row 8 is going to go to Pichichi and Alexander Borgso, known previously for his Alpine outings in the WSC, with Iro and Ben Watkinson in P17 and 18, completing row 9. 19th and 20th are going to go to Wilson and Stiedink in completing row 10, well as your top 20. And then final runners, and to make it to 29, is going to be John Waldrich and Philip Schlitting alongside 23rd and 24th with Alistair Ramsey and Jordan Forte here. We're going to see Jordan Biddle and Paul Sims in 25th and 26th, row 13, and then it's going to be Gary Barham, Matt Fordham, 27th and 28th, followed by 29th. Last but certainly not least, Sebastian Borgerson. That's going to be where we start things off. We have a couple of drivers who are starting from the pit lane, it looks like. But everyone is coming out in full form. Say, Forte and Biddle in the pits, along with Borgerson. There looks like there is Watkinson also into the pits right now, but here we go. Lining up. Formation lap fully underway. You can hear the engines roar as we have quite the race ahead. It's going to be fun, folks. Looking forward to seeing what these drivers do. There you go, green flag, 30 minutes, we are a go. And immediately, right out the gate, Lettonen is going to be hard on the defensive. Try to get to that ideal line as soon as you physically can. Pavel Steiner is going to be holding on to the challenge alongside as we have a raucous 2x2 order quickly converging onto the first chicane. Tamburello very nicely handled from Lettonen. Looking a little bit further back, Bouquet is going to be on the defensive as well as he's got Hendrik de Vries breathing right down his neck. It's 2x2s as well further down on the order as you have trades happening left and right. Barham taking a bit of a position hit as he is seemingly come out. Tamburello looking very slow here. We have multiple cars also recovering, I think, from a bit of a space squeeze. You have 2, 3 wide going into the next chicane, heading into Villeneuve, and they're going to have to file in fairly quickly because you cannot take these chicanes so easily alongside another car. Going forward back to the middle of the pack is Richard Cook in 7th, trying to chase DeVries down. A lot of smoke, a lot of kick-ups of gravel, dust, dirt. Everyone's frantically scrambling to get those initial positions out of the gate. Starkey into P9 and trying to keep some proximity, but it's Quinn who's several seconds away now. 3 seconds, and we are already seeing a couple of different packs forming. Say Borgso was briefly in the background, putting some pressure down on Quinn. It looks like Quinn is going to be moving up as there is a problem. There is Hendrik de Vries. Major problem there. He's going to be cresting completely over Variante Alto, crossing the chicane, and he's only going to rejoin in P13, only to immediately get under pressure as Iro will be waiting in the wings. Say, quite an interesting opening lap here, folks, as there is a lot of chaos happening. And I'm all for it. Oh, there's someone off. That is going to be Paul Sims, having to quickly take a recovery. Luckily, minimal damage to position. Hopefully only damage to the Pride. Ramsey. Okay, Wallace, Petici, Borgson, and Watkinson all DNFing out early. There's early stage chaos. No doubt that will come up in the stewarding videos, by the way. And oh, massive lockup. That was a dart and a half. Massive lockup there. I think that was Waldridge. Yes, I believe that to be Waldridge. Now rejoining the track just ahead of Paul Sims, who's going to fly past them. Chaotic opener. There's going to be Niesbet now into the pits as well. Hopefully we don't see any issues or any problems from them there. That's going to be Stijing also coming into the pit lane. Back up to the front. Lettonen continues to lead. Stenner close behind, with Button under pressure, or putting pressure onto Pavel. Peeking briefly to the right side, but no dice. A little bit of a lock-up, bit of smoke coming out from some of those brakes. Sorry to hear it. As you can see, Ben in the chat saying that there is a server connection issue. There were a couple of hiccups, to be fair, on the setup of the server, and I personally haven't had too much, but I've noticed a couple of cars that have been, we'll call it floaty. You know that, if you know anything about connections, you'll know what I mean when I say it's been a little bit floaty for some. Well, we bounce back, as always. Sorry to hear. Here we go. This is a Button going very aggressive, really trying to get that overtake. Heading into the Tamburello chicane is going to be a bit of contact there as the slide comes out from Pavel, and having to retreat down into P4. Barely able to keep control of the car as they go through that chicane and managing to recover just in time for Villeneuve. Luckily, he's not managed to lose too much time. There is the problem of Lettonen now being about a second away, and this may be a chance for Lettonen to actually get a bit of a break. You see pitting in for Waldridge, Quinn, and Stijing, who is still in the pits, I believe, from their previous check-in. So not sure if they're going to be re-emerging on the track anytime soon. Patouche on the back of Button right now was leveraging the opportunity that Stenner's off gave them. Button's certainly going to be a little bit wary about this one. See a couple of switcheroos, as I think there's a couple of cars challenging each other for space on the chicane. Okay, we're checking in with Starkey, currently sat at P8. So there will be a lot of pressure immediately mounting as Ramsey on the back of Borgso. He's going down the side, say, coming out of Variantiato, now into Ravazza. Nice and clean line. Sharp apex there from the number 86. I'm really impressed by that line. Just locking out of opportunity and already peeling a massive gap. Peeling over a second to Borgso. think Ramsey was certainly feeling held back by the red Porsche just moments ago. Now, has a chance to open the taps and let loose. Is Biddle tucking to the left, then to the right, then to the right again. He's on the back of Hero. Trying to get past by any means necessary, it looks like. Really running aggressive. Hero going on the defensive, heading into Tamburello once more. And crossing over the curbs. He wants to get that position, and he's going for it by any means necessary. Biddle really wants this. Darting now to the left side as it goes past, or tries to get past that grey Porsche. Really running close. Just looking for any angle, any line that he possibly can take. Whatever opens the gates and gets the opportunity going. See, nice battling from the both of them here. So Hero just keeping cool as a cucumber, not wavering to the pressure being placed on him. Well, meanwhile, there's a big issue there. That was... what happened there? There's a massive smash up. Looks like that's Anthony Hyde. So we saw him just a moment ago go sliding off track, and then my panel stopped working. I was going to jump to him, but Hyde completely going off the track, re-emerging now just in time for Acqua Minerale. That sounded like a gnarly incident. Really not going to be an easy car to drive after that one. Paul Sims, meanwhile, trying to close to the back of 40, who themselves is on to the back of Biddle. I do believe that that is a bit of a back marker. Staging and Quinn have joined the DNF roster, so we are down to 23 cars as they are trying to overtake Waldridge right here. Goes off into the gravel. Just remember, standard racing rules apply in terms of etiquette, respect for your fellow peers and drivers, and in some cases, blue flags. Just making sure that you are creating a safe racing environment. Of course, there are stewards that we do have stewarding post-race. So any incident after lap 1 that gets submitted will be reviewed. Lap 1 is fully investigated as a matter of courtesy. So, no, most of the incident tends to happen around that time. So keep the bases covered. Even so, Biddle right now on the back of Hero once more. Second verse, maybe same as the first, within a quarter of a second here. So you see Forte also trying to get themselves involved in the mix. Quite the battle that could be shaping up here. We also have one that could be for podiums here. Patush really pushing onto the back of Butsin right now. And certainly looking hungry for the spot. Really running aggressive here. See Dan Wilson actually managing to get a chance on here on a board. So we are 10 minutes into the race, and it's looking like most drivers have found their footing, but some are still having to fight tooth and nail to get some room out on course. Borgso getting a bit of a wake-up call with a very smooth and sharp overtake from Dan Wilson. Borgso already under pressure again, this time from Moffat. And, oh no, Borgso completely going off the track. We can also see there was a spin with Moffat suggesting, I think there was a bit of contact at play there. Hopefully they can get back out on track soon, as Borgso is going to go for the rejoin. Moffat is, I don't think, able to get back on track, and that is going to be another DNF. Another DNF joins the roster. We're now down to 21. So Anthony Hyde, along with Moffat, retiring out. 21 drivers out of 29 starters remain. And things are looking rough. Looking rough for some. The session has certainly gone in a different way than we necessarily thought it would go. But there's still plenty of fire out on the circuit. Barham could be making a challenge to Forte. Here's a drag racing, the both of them coming out of Acqua Minerale and now Variantiata. Barham is ahead of Forte right now. A great racing between the two. So I keep thinking back and I keep looking back to Patush and Butsin.
I think those two really will be a duo to watch.
As those racers really will be showing their stuff and showing their fire. They've run close for a significant amount of time now. Since the start of the race, really, they have been really running close together. Although we do have a bit of a yellow flag coming out. We're trying to identify exactly what's gone on here. That is Matt Fordham. He has gone off out of Acqua Minerale. So just cresting over the hill, needing to jump back in. And, ooh, big kick on the throttle and subsequent spin. Fordham needs to get that car reined in and under control. So we have Waldridge as well, who is a fair bit behind. So I'm not sure if Fordham is set to continue or they're just waiting for an opening to spin themselves back round and get back in. So Patrick's closing in on Button as well, but Letonen is currently the driver who holds the crown. 1.2 seconds clear. And really looking sharp while they do it. Seriously impressed. They managed to get that clean break.
Was relatively undisturbed.
So Pavel has managed to keep the proximity and is honestly doing a great job of holding the challenge despite earlier setbacks. It's all about just keeping up that pressure now, keeping the consistency. Worst thing that you can do is fret, panic, and now go into this last sort of 15 minutes of the race with a frazzled mindset. You've got to keep calm and you've got to keep your cool. Otherwise, you will just be left out to dry. You will be left stuck. As a Richard Kirk going for a bit of a spin. That is going to, I believe, just be out of Tosa there. And now making their way into the second sector. Yeah, not in the best spot to go for a spin, but at least it made for an easy rejoin. Now Piratella get their bearings back and hopefully clean up those tyres. You can pick up a bit of dirt and gravel, and that's never a good time. Your grip is reduced and it's unpredictable, which is probably the worst part. It's not so much that you have lower grip, it's that you have unpredictable grip, and when you can't trust what the car is doing, that is a serious red flag. You have to be extremely careful until you know those tyres are clean. So we can see right here, so about 15 minutes past, right at the halfway point. Letonen continues to lead with Butson and Patush. Horns locked for a good duration. And coming off of that, you have Pavel Stenner, Matteo Bouquet completing your top 5. Albeit Bouquet in a couple of seconds behind is relatively far. And potentially, could be argued, is in a separate race entirely. Apologies if there are minor hiccups in the commentary. The room that I'm in is not well ventilated and the temperature is rapidly climbing. So if I do take any breaks, that will be just making sure I get a drink and don't overheat. Hope everyone in the UK anyway is dealing with the heat all right. Our country is not built for having this higher temperature, I don't think. Although, let us know how you're finding it. If you're in the UK, what do you think of the heat? Say, you loving it, or are you wishing for it to cool down again? I can say in this studio, I am hoping for the latter. It is internal temp of about 31 degrees. And I'm keeping nice and toasty, but not by choice. Looking now Patu still hot on the heels. A lot of the drivers have actually spaced out. Most drivers are spaced by several seconds now at this point. And just focused on finding their flow. The racers do not have to panic and do not have to worry now. The only thing that they need to ensure is their own clean driving and their lack of mistakes. We do have, I believe that's Wooldridge just there, so briefly hamming up the outer, very anti-outer chicane. But, again, keeping it clean and soldiering through. This is a scenario, this is one of those drivers that, I'd say, deserves a lot of respect, because Wooldridge could very easily bow out of the competition if they're behind like this, but resilient, still forging a path forward. That's why they're part of the Invitationals. They're not just being some of the best drivers we have here, but also being some of the best sports and good people. That matters just as much as being a fast driver. Being a respectful and good sport of a driver too. I always want to commend people who are behind but still seeing the race out. It's very easy for many to throw in the towel, and it deserves commendation. You see Patush now in a bit of a bubble. They're not quite as close as they were to Butson before, and now Stenner could have a chance to actually reel in and start doing some damage. Doing a bit of pressuring onto Patush to try and reel them in, get themselves into a podium. Could very much be on the cards. So the session running very smooth, and looking around, we do have a couple of drivers who are closing in. So Sims on Hero. I wonder if these two are going to cross paths. Okay, just taking a moment to appreciate everyone out on track here. If nothing else, for the fact that this is, as we were saying before, some of the best drivers that we have on the field. And to join the GRDC Invitational and race in equal machinery like this, it is a challenge, it is a test. Not everyone is going to gel with this car, so you, for all we know, could jump into round 2 with whatever car combination comes and be having a brilliant time. That's going to be Gary Barham now heading into the pits. We did see a second car. That is Marvin Butson heading into the pit lane. It's worth noting that drivers do have 2 sets of tyres. To cover both quali and the race, and those tyres could very quickly be flat spotted if you make a mistake. We saw earlier a couple of cars really slamming onto those brakes and skidding all the way into the gravel. It's easily done. It is very easily done. And some drivers may be used to ABS, so its absence may really be a sore spot. We do see there's someone spinning round there. I believe that was Richard Cook, yes. Taking a bit of a spin. Just coming out of Rivazza. See, this is quite the racing cohort here. Let's see, jumping a bit further forward. We do see still under pressure from Sims, but we could also see Dan Wilson get involved too. Now, Wilson has a unique predicament. As we do jump ahead and we can see, actually, with Butson having taken a pit stop, this has put Stenner into second, or not second, third, and chasing on to second with Patush right there within a half second. I think this is the time where Stener needs to open the taps. If he wants to get a move done, he has to do it now. Session is going into its final 10 minutes. And things are looking bright and sparky for some, but others are having a tough time. There is Matt Fordham off the side of the track. Gary Barham is going to head into the pit lane. Fordham has officially retired the car, so we are down to 29 DNFs. That's almost a third of the order. Ouch. Certainly going to be a race to forget for many. That will certainly be a session to forget. But, say, from the ashes, could breathe new life. And from the DNFs, could bring a major twist, a major turnaround into rounds 2 and 3. So, taking stock of our order, of course, once again, we have familiar faces. Lesson and Patush Stener in top 3, with Bouquet and Pour in 4th and 5th. Butson going into 7th after his pit stop, just being led by Hendrik de Vries a couple of seconds away. Closing your top 10, Starkey, Ramsey and Schlichting, as they all have made their own pockets of the racetrack. And then 21 seconds later, closely followed by Paul Sims and Dan Wilson is Iro. Well, we could see that quickly come to blows as Paul Sims is going to go for it down the inside. I think left a little bit of room and a door too open into Tosa and now into Piratella. This is where Sims is going to have the advantage. Has the speed and now has the line and is able to lock that apex out. So Wilson could be even closing in on a move himself. Bit of gravel coming in for Iro. A little bit of wobble as he's been put under serious pressure. Wilson's going to go for it down the inside. Iro forced to take a very wide line, jumping, escaping over the curbs. You also see Richard Cook, and he's made a much bigger issue of it. He's spun the car completely. Absolutely tank slapping the rear on the right side of the barriers as he's coming out and up the hill. So easy to spin the back of the car. You get that unsettled over the curbs and in the gravel, you're in big, big trouble. Big trouble indeed. Luckily able to recover into P14, but he's not going to have any chance of closing that gap now. As I say, now pushing their way through. Iro is down 1.5 seconds to Dan Wilson, and then Paul Sims another second away. So I think that battle could be case closed by all intents and purposes. Yeah, 20 finishers out of 29 starters. It's where we'll see who really has what it takes. We go through, bit of a rearward kick, and oh no, that is Starkey off the side of the track. Under pressure from Ramsey. I think just take a bit too much heat coming out on the throttle. Say these GTE cars don't mess around. They can still bite back. They are very similar to the GT3 spec, but in a lot of ways, you do still have to be careful. And you have to be mindful of what that rear axle is doing. Although, someone who has seen better days, Paul Sims, he's also biffed it into Aqua Minerale and is having to recover across the chicane into P12. Starkey now being our 10th DNF of the day. In fact, no, this is say 29 cars. We're down to 18 as Richard Cook has also done the same. So 11th DNF of the day. It is certainly looking like a graveyard of Porsches. As we head into our final 5 minutes though, those who remain will be rewarded handsomely. Stener, 0.3 of a second away from Patush now. Has slowly been reeling in closer and closer throughout the entire session. But I'll say to him what I said about 10 minutes ago. if he wants the move, he's got to do it soon. I'd argue that these next couple of laps have to be a judgment call. And next lap, he'll basically have to be within overtake distance, or he should say goodbye to position. I don't think there's going to be enough time to make it happen. So we are staying at 4/10. Trying to reel in just a little bit. So everyone else around the track is split up by at least a second, only exception being the Jordans of Biddle and 40. There we are, Stenner hot on the heels. I don't know why the onboard is not working, just full disclosure folks, say all the other UI elements are there. We'll see if the update rate is, nope, the update rate is still broken unfortunately. Try to get that resolved for you as fast as possible heading into round 2. There we go. Stenner trying to take a bit of an alternate line through Minerali. Not quite being able to get the leverage that they were looking for, but still keeping proximity close. So going into the penultimate lap here. That took me a second to figure out. Stenner now 0.3 of a second away, but is teetering on the quarter. I think he's going to have to make it a consideration soon. He is already going slightly offline. A little bit of a lock up there as he's trying to close an outbreak. His opponent. Fortunately, that has cost him several tenths. Crucial tenths of a second that would have been sorely needed. Meanwhile, just ahead of them and a lap down is say 40 and Biddle, the Porsche's battle. The 256s even in run for their money. Say Biddle leads, 40 on the chase. See here what we've got on the plate here as the both of them challenging for any chance, any room. Forte peaks to the right. No position sought, but a narrow exit is going to harm exit speeds. Having to make way for the others. Say blue flag rules do apply, remember. And a big lockup coming there from Stenner. They're going to have to cut the chicane. They're going to keep proximity, but they aren't going to be making a win out of this one. Now, over half a second away. That could be curtains for this battle. He puts him, meanwhile, in at 7th. Having had to take the stop, but could get a last-minute surge on DeVries here. Very good exit out of Aqua Minerali. Now into Variante Alto. They're going to take that right side line. Try to cover off that first apex. Big lockup coming in from DeVries as they have to take the chicane escape road. They will keep a good proximity, but they will not get the position back as Blitzen goes into P6. Now coming across the line for the second to last time, Letonen is coming up here. And now sweeping through. That's the Villeneuve chicane. Oh, a little bit of gravel coming out from Hatush. Stenner over a second away. Isn't going to be able to chase this one unless another mistake is made. See, 8 tenths now coming in. Stenner really hungry for that close, but the checkered flag is now going to start flying as we have 18 finishes from our 29 to start today. It has been an initial race of attrition, but certainly a race that has proven the worth of many. And Patush closing in for the final chicane, but just not being able to get that squeeze. Now down finally into Rivazza to finish things off. Here goes nothing. Letonen leads. Little snap. Big wins. Great initial showing. Ooh, looks like a last-minute dart. Say, pit lane for Patush. What's going on there? But now, across the line, Letonen takes the top honours, takes the checkered, with Steiner in second. Patush with a surprising turn of events. Says Bouquet's going to steal away P3. Don't really know what's going through the thought process there. If there's a reason behind that pit stop, of course, we will find out. But to say, there is Port coming across the line into P4. Say Butzin is going to be making their way into P6. Patush now taking their residency in P5. As Butzin now through into 6th. We'll of course see those are lapped down. It's in earlier than the others, but Butzin in 6th. Patush. Oh, Butzin in 5th with Patush in 6th. My mistake. Say Ramsey and De Vries in 7th and 8th. Schleeting coming across the line in P9. Dan Wilson cruising their way over and across now into Rivazza. Finishing their lap off. As its last pit finishes here. Say Wilson in 10th. Rounding out that top 10, of course, is a Sims not far behind. And then Iro also, I think, being the last one to finish out of here, but P12 is a respectable showing. Wilson in 10th, Sims in 11th, 12th, going to Iro. Now up to the line. And then standings will be called and finalised. Then and there. There we go, folks. Session done. And just like that, say Sims is going around one more, but there we are. Now into the pits and fully sealed. That is session complete. And I'm just trying to get the results for you now. Looking like a minor hiccup on the race results actually being displayed. But here we go anyway. There is going to be Letonen, who takes the checkered flag with Stenner in 2nd, Bouquet in 3rd, and then Pur and Butzin to complete your top 5. Patush, Ramsey, De Vries, Schleeting, and Wilson complete your top 10, and then they are closely followed by Paul Sims, Iro Pisuri, Jordan Biddle, Jordan Forte, Remy Alexander Borgso, Ian Nisbet, John Aldridge, and Gary Barham to finish. Unfortunately, we didn't say goodbye to everyone as they crossed the checkered flag, as some had to bow out early for a variety of reasons. That's going to go to Starkey, Cook, Fordham, Hyde. We have Moffat, as well as Stagink, Quinn, Wallace, and Pichichi, with Borgerson and Watkinson. I mean, issues from the off. Apologies. Say, one of my lights decided to disappear there. There we go. But out of the 18 finishers, and of course 29 starters, there is a lot to be discussed here. Now, we are going to, of course, talk with some of our drivers. We're going to see if they're available for a quick interview, quick chat. We'll see if anyone is available and around. I know that we've got Letonen already queuing up to get into the commentary box, but let's see who is available and who is ready to go. We are also getting a couple of reports, by the way, a little bit of insight onto some of our DNFs. So, for example, I'll quote here from Anthony Hyde, retired due to excessive damage thanks to turn 1 carnage. On the bright side, I get to have my cold beer earlier than expected. And you know what, mate? I love a silver lining. I absolutely love that outlook. So, unfortunately, unfortunate to say with the knockout, but at the same time, making the best of a bad situation. It's a smile. But we have got also a couple of technical issues, unfortunately. We did see with Ben Watkinson, he wasn't able to join in. He got kicked out in quali and then wasn't able to actually get back in there. We are just going to make a quick call and see if Pavel or Bouquet are available to interview. And then we will go from there, folks. Of course, if you have enjoyed what we have put on show here tonight, then be sure to, of course, throw a like on the stream if you've enjoyed what you have. We have got, of course, 2 more rounds of this. And after the interviews, we'll hopefully get to reveal to you what the round 2 matchup is going to be, as well as having a look at the rest of the series that we have available on the channel. We have the stewarding videos that are posted following certain rounds. We have the LMGT3 challenge that is hosted on Mondays by Joseph and Max. Also, great guys with us here at Driveline. So, powering all of that, bringing that together. But enough stalling, enough waiting. Let's get Letonen in for a bit of a chat. And I'm sure he's sick of my voice by now. Testing, testing. Letonen, can you hear us, mate?
Yes, hello.
Lovely, lovely. Fancy seeing you here again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, how was tonight for you, mate? Of course, so first round of the Invitational, you're in the GTEs, you're in the 911 RSR. How did you find tonight? First off, initial thoughts before we before we deep dive, initial thoughts.
Really good, actually. I've never raced the RSR or actually any car without ABS, so it was a new experience. And yeah, I mean, with the fixed setup, I didn't need to do any changes, obviously, because wouldn't have the time anyways to dial in the setup. So this was just a win for me, and no pit stop. So it's just all about driving, and that's where I'm good at. You can really see the difference when you compare to the GT3 challenge, where you have an open setup, and I was lacking a lot of pace there just because I don't have the time or don't want to put in the effort. But here was much stronger, and the car felt good, the track felt nice, and yeah, all in all, nice race.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a bit of a different dynamic. You haven't really got the same strategic elements to consider, like your pit stops, like your setups. Tell me, how did you find not having ABS? Because I know that can be a deal breaker for some drivers. It's really make or break. Well, I just realised I made a terrible pun there, but how did you find it?
Really good, actually. I didn't feel much difference to driving a car with ABS. I feel like it's how I drive any car, really. Like, I would trail brake quite a lot, so yeah, I don't think there was much difference in my braking, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems like you got to grips with it pretty much immediately. You didn't really have any issues on the brakes, or didn't really seem at any point like you were unsettled in the car. So it seemed like a really good combo for you tonight. But, of course, with the Invitational, as we established, it is a bit of a toss-up, a bit of a gamble as to what comes next. So, tell me, this was a good combo for you tonight, but what would your ideal combo be? If you had to put in almost like a wish list, what would your ideal combo be?
I've been really wanting to race an LMP2 lately, and I know it's coming. I mean, I don't know, but I'm guessing it's coming. But to be honest, I think tonight was the perfect one. I mean, Imola is not my favorite track, but if we change the track, then it would have been perfect. I don't know which track, to be honest, but maybe Le Mans or something like that. Yeah, RSR and Le Mans.
Well, sounds like you've got it made, mate. Well, I of course to say I can't say too much. I can't say too much now.
Yeah,
not yet anyway, but I'm looking forward to future rounds, and it's to hoping that next combos go as well as this one, because this is certainly a strong start to the Invitational for you here.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. it's the format is really fun when you don't have much time to think about the setup or the strategy or whatever. This is a lot of fun. You can just jump in and then feel how the car is, get on pace, and then straight to the race. Feels like it's a lot different to, for example, the GT3 challenge. So I'm really enjoying this.
Really pick up and go, and I think that suits you really well tonight. Last thing before I let you go, anything that you wanted to say to anyone watching here or any of the other drivers who participated tonight?
Not really. I don't know what happened in the rest of the pack in the race, but hopefully everyone had a good race. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, fair enough to say. I think your driving spoke for itself, to be fair, mate. So I don't blame you for not having much to say. Either way, gonna let you go. It was good to see you again, and certainly looking forward to future rounds, because you certainly kept a cool head and you really sort of brought it home with little to no issue. So good job, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go, folks. That was Timi Lehtonen. That was the winner of the first round of the Invitational, and unfortunately it doesn't look like we are going to be getting an interview from two of our other drivers. Bouquet has politely declined, but did want to say to all of the drivers out there that it has been brilliant today. It really has been a really fun inaugural round for the season. Now, it is a very short season of the Invitational because there's only 3 rounds, and that is kind of in part by design because we don't want the format to outstay its welcome. If you had 5-6 rounds like this, I feel like it would get a little bit too hectic. But of course, going into the next round, Lehtonen is going to have a bit of a harder time. He will be slapped with 40 kilograms of success ballast. Stenner will be, I believe, taking 32. And then 24 kilograms of success ballast will be going to Bouquet. Poor is going to take 16, and then Butzin in 5th will take 8 kilograms of success ballast. So they will have a little bit harder of a time in terms of adjusting and getting their session through out here and getting the same success. But of course, never say never. Drivers can work around a ballast. It's more weight, but it is predictable at the same time. It really depends on what car we have coming up next. Now, as well as that, to all of the drivers, I want to emphasize that if you did have any stewarding incidents beyond lap 1, to report them, please do. Use the proper formats. There is a form, of course, in the Discord, and please be respectful to all the stewards and everyone who is taking time out, because it is a lot of volunteer work, basically. GRDC is almost entirely voluntary based, and the team certainly puts in a 10-ton of work to make this all happen. So certainly show them the love, show them the respect, because a lot of work does go into these, and that is where we are for the most part going to wrap it tonight. We're just going to confirm one final thing before we wrap it out. Of course, thank you to everyone who supports us on a sort of basis of you here watching tonight, especially those who support us on different channels, different vessels such as Patreon. That really does go a long way, and if you are considering it, then we do have some additional perks for those drivers, whether that's in the Discord server or otherwise, in terms of participation. So we very much I'm very grateful to everyone who does chip in with that and really does give us the opportunity, I want to say, to really put on the best that we possibly can and show you as an audience the best racing that we can possibly offer. So that's where we land, and that is where we are going to take a closer for tonight. Thank you to everyone, and we will see you very soon. We will be revealing the round 2 combo as soon as possible, but if you don't want to miss it, you of course want to stick with the YouTube channel. You want to stick with us here and make sure that you don't miss a thing, as well as if you're in the Discord already, make sure you keep clued in. But this is where we wrap it for tonight. I'm going to show our patrons, of course, on stream. And thank you to everyone who contributes and gives their time, their effort, driver, viewer, patron, etc. We will be showing off a video tomorrow revealing round 2. But thank you again, folks. Take care as always. And we'll see you next time.